Hello, I am Professor Sunil Khare from IIT Delhi. Under the EPG Pathshala program of UGC, we are dealing with biochemistry subject, and today we will talk about the DNA denaturation. The DNA denaturation is an important phenomena. In this lecture, we will understand how the DNA can be denatured, what are the different agents or enzymes which denature DNA in vivo, how DNA can be denatured in vitro, how we can follow it, and what are the physiological function of DNA denaturation in the cells. DNA denaturation means two strands of DNA. Remember that DNA is a double helix. If they are separated into single strands, this is called DNA denaturation. In a native DNA, DNA is bound two strands through Watson-Crick base pairing, that is G is paired with C and A is paired with T. If these bonds are broken, both strands will fall apart, what you call as denaturation. Now, what can cause this DNA denaturation? In vivo, helicase is the primary enzyme responsible for DNA denaturation, and there are two mechanisms given for it, rolling mechanism and creeping mechanism. Beside helicase, there are some intercalating agents in the cell which can also denature the DNA. By this way, cell perform certain physiological function. It is necessary for replication that both strands should go apart. It is necessary for transcription to take place. It is necessary for repair of the DNA. So, denaturation is a phenomena which helps cell in certain functions, and this is controlled by helicase and some other agents. But in vitro, heat can cause denaturation. Sonication coupled with mild heat can cause denaturation. This depends how much GC content is there. If higher GC content is there, it will take more temperature to cleave two strands of DNA. This property actually is assigned by a parameter called Tm or melting temperature of DNA. If higher GC content, Tm will be higher. When DNA strands denature, actually there is an increase in absorbance at 260 nanometer. So, the denaturation can be followed at 260 nanometer, and if the strands are denatured and you correctly cool it, they can renature also. Today's topic is DNA denaturation and its implications. In this lecture, we will understand what is DNA denaturation, how many types of denaturations are there, in vivo denaturation, in vitro denaturation, and the implications of DNA denaturations. DNA denaturation is the separation of double stranded DNA into single strand. It is a key phenomena in many biological functions such as in situ hybridization, microarray, and membrane hybridization. In cell also, it has its own relevance. The DNA denaturation inside the cell can be induced during normal metabolic process, or it can be artificially induced also. Denaturation, when it is occurring inside the cell, can be called in vivo denaturation. When this is occurring outside the cell, it can be called in vitro denaturation. In vivo denaturation can occur with the help of certain proteins or ligands in the cells. Helicase is a very common enzyme which is involved in DNA denaturation during replication. If you can recall, there are certain ligands inside the cell which are responsible for DNA denaturations, and then some drugs, if given, can also cause DNA denaturations. In vivo, denaturation participate in many essential processes such as repair. While DNA has to repair, it is essential that it should be denatured first. During DNA replication, it has to be denatured first. During DNA transcription also, DNA has to be denatured. So, hereafter we will discuss different ways that denaturation can be done. So, the denaturation by helicase can be seen by two different mechanisms. One is called rolling mechanism and another is called creeping mechanism. In case of rolling mechanism, at first the helicase is attached at two distinct sites on the DNA, followed by incorporation of an ATP at attachment site. The NTP will relatively change the affinity of helicase to bind with target DNA and help in rolling of enzyme over DNA. The prerequisite for this kind of mechanism is the presence of two DNA binding and two NTP binding sites on an oligomeric helicase. According to this model, the monomer of helicase has ability to bind to ssDNA and dsDNA separately. SS means single strand and DS means double strand. One monomer binds behind the fork in single stranded DNA and the other binds ahead of the fork of double stranded DNA, and a few monomers bind to the single stranded double stranded junction itself. Then helicase denatures the DNA duplicates at junction by using energy releases from NADP hydrolysis. During this process, the protein DNA complex formed by monomer present toward downward stream is shifted forward to upstream monomer, and this cycle is completed by rolling of enzyme over the helicase DNA complex. In the creeping mechanism, a monomer of hexameric helicase initially bound to fork. The second monomer gain energy by ATP hydrolysis to interact with the double stranded DNA approximately 10 to 15 base pair ahead of the fork. This phenomena allows the denaturing of duplex DNA between DNA binding site of monomers 1. During above step, rotation of DNA is needed to allow complete untwisting of double stranded DNA. After this process, helicase rolls to regain its original structure, keeping its monomer 2 intact with the fork. This figure actually shows both the mechanism. If you can see the DNA unwinding and then the helicase here. In case of A, you can see binding of the 216 like this and rolling of the 2 strand apart. So, the rolling of this helicase actually is opening the DNA. You can see by the numbers how the helicase firstly 216 is moving, 216 little away and then 21 goes up and 3 is coming. So, this rolling of the helicase actually is opening the DNA. In case of creeping, you see in this figure actually helicase is as such there, but then it is not rolling, it is creeping along the DNA strand and opening the DNA. So, you can see the direction in the B figure, the creeping direction. Ligand based unzipping, this is the third mechanism. There are certain ligands in the cells which cause unzipping of the DNA. A few compounds have ability to unzip the DNA by intercalating between the minor and major groove of the DNA. They attach non-covalently with the walls of DNA and then unzip it. These compounds interact with the adjacent base pairs either in parallel or perpendicular way, which unwinds the DNA helix by an angle less than 36 degree. This 36 degree is the angle between two adjacent base pair. The value of angular rotation depends on the type of intercalating agents. These are categorized into two kinds, mono and bis intercalators. Mono intercalating compounds, these compounds have ability to intercalate the double stranded DNA or single stranded DNA both. Example of this classes are acridine orange, formaldehyde, diethyl pyrocarbonate, ellipticene, adrimycin, acridine orange. All these actually causes called monointercalating compounds. When these, for instance, let us say acridine orange, when it binds to double stranded DNA, it gives green fluorescence and gives red fluorescence while interacting with ssDNA. Subsequently, it reduces the TM by 5 to 10 degree. Similarly, ellipticene or adrimycin induce unwinding of DNA helix and reduce the TM by about 5 degree. So, these are some of the mechanism of the monointercalating compounds. The bis intercalating agents such as bis-acridine A also have ability to unzip DNA. They have two intercalating core which are linked by polyammonium bridge. The bridge destabilizes the equilibrium of double stranded DNA and shifts it towards single stranded DNA. Moreover, in presence of light, these compounds can induce photocleavage of DNA also. So, therefore, mono intercalating and bis intercalating both can denature the DNA, but their mechanisms are different. Now, this is, so far we have studied the denaturation in vivo by helicase, by these mono and bis intercalating agents or some other ligands. In vitro DNA detonation require some physical methods also. For instance, if you sonicate, you are likely to denature the DNA. If you heat, you can denature the DNA. In case of sonication, the moment of shock waves increase the random moment of molecule present in the medium. This generates the energy transfer which is used to denature the DNA. In case of indirect sonication, the sound waves reach to the DNA by medium such as ionized water, while in direct sonication, the probe immerses directly in the solution containing DNA. However, denaturation by sonication is the combinational efforts produced by heating as well as sound waves. That should be kept in mind. According to the Davis and Philip, DNA did not denature if we do not sonicate at lower temperature such as 0 to 2 degree, which confirms that some heating, partial heating and sonication can denature the DNA. Then denaturation by heating, this is very important. During the heating process, the energy of heat is utilized to pull out two strands of DNA apart, making it single stranded. Actually, the DNA strands are linked by GC triple bond and AT double bond. So, heat actually breaks that bond. The temperature needed to pull two strands apart is called melting temperature or Tm. This Tm is an important property of the DNA. So, the melting temperature of Tm will depend on the length and composition of the DNA. You can yourself understand if DNA has higher GC content, then it will have higher Tm, because GC are linked by 3 bonds. The quantitative analysis of Tn by any naturally occurring DNA can be calculated by the following formula. You can look into this formula. Tm is equal to 18.5 degree C plus 0.41 in bracket percent GC plus 16.6 log sodium. However, for short DNA hybrid, the formula is little simplified. It is Tm 2 degree C A plus T plus 4 degree C G plus C. When we raise the temperature of double stranded DNA, it tends to dissociate, which increases the absorbance at 260 degree, and this is called hyperchromicity. So, the hyperchromicity is an indication of denaturation, or the increase in absorbance at 260 degree shows the denaturation. So, denaturation can be followed by recording absorbance at 260 nanometer. If a denatured DNA is left as such, it can cool and re-anneal itself. So, in summary, what we have learned so far is that DNA denaturation is the separation of double stranded DNA into single strand, and in vivo this is caused by helicase or intercalating agents or some drugs, but in vitro by heat and sonication, etc. So, in this lecture we understood how DNA strand can be denatured, or two strands can open up or can be unzipped, and there are various factors in the cells like helicase, like intercalating agents which cause this in the cell, and this is responsible for certain functions like replication, transcription and repair. In vitro, this is another important parameter to characterize a DNA of a particular species, what you call as Tm values, which is characteristic of a DNA, and a denatured DNA by heat can be monitored by recording absorbance at 260 nanometer, and then also it can be renatured if you cool it correctly.